Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, friends. It's time once again to dive into a little Saturday morning React-TOONS, this time featuring Robotech, episode 65, Curtain Call. Nothing to it but to do it, friends. Before we get started, if you could do me a huge favor and hit that like button, smash that subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. It greatly helps out a small channel and it allows me to alert you next time it's time to journey into Robotech. And of course, if there's anything that we do that you would like early or in its full-length format, the link to our Patreon is in the description. But my dear friends, all that is then. This is now, and now it's time to watch Robotech, episode 65, Curtain Call. Prepare to engage maximum warp reaction. And away we go! Fanfare! Freeze frame. I have people in my house, no one's here right now, but I have people in my house that'll be like, what are you doing? Are you saying fanfare? I think I've said this before. I get it. I get it a lot. What are you doing down there? Who knows? I'll tell you what I'm doing down there. It's a year's worth of why did I start this? Oh, Miss Fanfare. I guess. We'll see. That explosion in the back there looks like there's something with its arms like out in like a Jesus Christ like crucifixion pose, like bursting out of the mountain.
Battled an Invid Scout patrol. The patrol was drawn to their secret hideout by tracking the presence of
protoculture in the weapons, yep. He went full salvo. I like that. He's like, you know what?
The group constructs a daring plan to replenish their fuel supplies and strike a blow for freedom against the Invid.
I mean, this squad-based Robotech is really cool. Optimus Prime? I'm here to help.
Hey, pal, do you have any you could spare?
Are you kidding? If someone found out I'd shared my ration of protoculture energy cells, I'd be in big trouble.
Know what? You're already in big trouble, buddy.
Oh, this is a stick-up.
Please, I'd lose my job.
I had no idea that soldiers also doubled as hijackers.
Robbing the enemy's protoculture is all part of the plan.
Getting this guy screwed is just a cherry on top.
There's no room for any stupid mistakes in this operation, so stay on your toes.
Don't worry about it. There won't be. At least I hope not.
And Rand is definitely Rick's VO, right? Or VA.
Good luck, Annie, and make lots of noise, okay?
Come on, you guys. How do you suppose I got the reputation of being a loudmouth pest?
Okay.
We're acknowledging it.
Miss Dancer, would you look over here, please? Great. Yeah.
The resiliency of the human race after multiple Earth devastations.
What, are you out of your mind? If something should happen during Yellow Dancer's concert, our reputation would be put to shame. Send every available man to that concert. We are very proud of our Norristown reservoir. It's been made impregnable, equipped with the most modern electronic security system.
Norristown?
Why, just look at the magnitude of our fortress.
Meanwhile,
I've come to repair some of the machines here.
Your permit?
You got it.
Take a peek inside, Mac.
there's just a guy crouched down with a gun back here. That's it.
Nope.
So the crate's gonna open up like Rand's in it.
You read me?
What are you working there, buddy? Because they only left Annie, right?
We're in, gang.
Yeah, they're all there.
Go. Come on.
Let's crawl through these obscenely large air vents.
At our last concert, a whole bunch of people came up on stage and everybody began partying and having a good old time. She may not perform like this again, everybody, so we better make this the most unforgettable concert ever!
Annie dropped in to incite a riot.
This gadget's supposed to interrupt the control panel. Go. Now.
That was interesting. It was a wire clamp.
At the last concert, some of the fans came up on stage and really made a mess of things. We don't want that to happen again.
We won't allow that here. I promise we'll do our job and guarantee you complete security.
You have a pretty outstanding reputation, Chief, so I assume you must have the security network to back it up.
Or my name's not Lynn Kyle. Kyle. No! I shit. Kyle shows back up. Oh my God.
Beneath the main line, 13th from the right. That must be it.
This is the one.
I'm just really enjoying this. Everything is just squad based. We're away from the armies. It has its own very unique flavor.
Be careful, Rook. The security system down there is still operative. You touch anything, the wall, floor, ceiling, and you'll trigger it.
All right, let's just get it over with.
I'm gonna Mission Impossible this shit. I hate to say this, Yellow Dancer has, in my opinion, way better music than Min-May. Weekend Win's awesome, but I mean...
Okay, should be on this wall somewhere. Just like Lancer said.
That was easy. You really think this leads to the concert hall, do you?
How the hell did Lancer know about that? That was weird because it's kind of like rebuilt. It wasn't...
Oh, no.
I think we may have taken the wrong tunnel.
That's impossible because according to
There's only
Lancer's
one
map,
tunnel.
there's only supposed to be one.
That Lancer gave us has been accurate up to now.
If we push it, it might open someplace.
What the?
What? Hey!
Or this is a super duper trap.
Now what?
Scott, do you think it's a trap?
Hey! Look!
If it is, Lancer put you into it.
What's going on here? It doesn't look good.
Let's all stay in the car.
How could I have been that stupid? I only considered the new security systems.
What do you mean?
The ancient manual defenses, they're still in working order.
The ancient manual defenses for this castle?
Oh, come on, Rand. Try not to get so down in the dumps.
We're just gonna die, I mean.
They're beginning to look a bit wild, Chief, so just in case something happens and we have to get Yellow out of here in a hurry, could you please have a car waiting?
Preferably one of your men with a mustache.
That should do it.
What the hell's Lunk doing? Meanwhile...
If this mob starts to cause trouble, the Invid will be here in no time. Then we've all had it.
I sure hope not, Chief.
That sort of sounds like we're all gonna die, Chief.
We made it.
Sorta.
Time's up, Scott. Hurry!
Let's go, mob!
But even entertainment has to have a limit. Something terrible might happen if it goes on any longer. You hear?
Foreshadowing!
Finally, it's about time you guys made it back here.
You're not gonna believe it.
We'll tell you later. Let's go. I got you. I'll signal Yellow.
Thank you very much, everybody. Bye-bye. I love you.
The Invid see the balloons as a form of attack, murder the entire crowd. Cut to credits. Jesus! Poor guy was taking a nap, savagely beaten by Lunk.
Never underestimate the best.
Come on, get in. Let's move it.
Right. Here.
We've had a report that 38 cases of protoculture has been stolen.
How could that have happened? Let's get it back right now.
I mean, I don't know, we were all here. It's almost like we were set up.
You better not tell me they've all disappeared.
But Chief, they have all disappeared because there are too many other police vehicles in the vicinity.
I told you not to tell me that!
Everybody look over there! Here come the balloons!
I mean, honest to God, that's how we got the protoculture out? On the winds of whatever? This plan sucks, everybody.
Fresh energy cells.
Lunk, will you give me a hand, please?
Okay, I'll be right there.
Lunk was a mech, right? That was... And Blue is a Lancer, right?
Dimwit? Why, that... Who does she think she is?
All right, Rand, how you doing? You been practicing? You sure have. They got a lot of those micro missiles for ordnance. I like it. Nice shooting.
This ought to put a dent in their armor.
Very first time we've actually seen having to like recharge our vehicles and stuff. And I know it's part of the animation. It's cool to see it. It's still cool to see it as, you know, incorporating that as part of it.
Have I got a surprise
I love that. Oh, wow. Well, it looked like he hit him. Like the green stuff. It's the cops.
Let's move out!
Cool. Yeah, we're gonna freeze frame it, aren't we? Nice. All right, everybody, we just finished the 65th episode of Robotech Curtain Call, and the only thing left to do is talk about it. All right, everyone, we just finished Curtain Call, the 65th episode of Robotech. I thought that this one, I'm a slightly mixed feelings about this one for this reason. I thought the entire episode's premise was awesome, like a raid to get resources. That's always like a staple of like guerrilla warfare and like squad-based tactics. You know, you have to resupply, whether it's food or water or ordnance. You're going to have to basically find that in the field because you have no supply chain. You have no one's going to airdrop you in anything. You are on your own, so you have got to make do with the resources that you have in play and steal, confiscate, find whatever it is that you need to continue your mission. So the idea that Robotech is actually addressing that, I think, is fantastic. And like I mentioned in the reaction, this is the first time. Now, I know that different property and everything. So obviously what they were loading into the Alpha Fighter and the Cyclones wasn't protoculture, some type of energy cell or whatever from the original property, but being able to incorporate that as like a protoculture energy cell is neat. I'd like being able to see that stuff. I think it really adds to the realism of Robotech, and I think that in many ways this next generation is, or new generation, next generation, this one is very interesting because, you know, we get to see a very different side of warfare, a very different side of everything that we've seen with Robotech. You know what I mean? And so I think that New Generation takes on a very interesting, I think it gets a bump in kind of like its watchability just because of that uniqueness. It has a very different feel. It has a very different vibe. Like I said, you know, there are a lot of missing elements that we have become kind of used to with the first two with Macross and Masters. You know, we were used to, at least I was, seeing the other side. Seeing Britai and Chiron, seeing the Robotech Masters like plotting and doing things like that and talking about like, you know, their current state of affairs. We don't see that with the Invid. The Invid are almost like a faceless other, a faceless enemy. You're not sure what their machinations are. You're not sure what their motivations are. You're not sure about like what their ultimate goal is with the planet and whether or not they have something like ultimately sinister in store for the human race that's currently acting as like their slave labor with the protoculture. So, you know, in and of itself, like just walking around like that, I mean, you've got like half a mystery that we're used to seeing in Robotech. You know, that whole side of everything is unknown. And that makes everything, I think that adds the tension to it because you're not sure, again, who we're dealing with. And at the same time, you're not sure like how far the other side is willing to go. You know, like, you know, do they have an ultimate like cleansing thing? You know, as soon as the human race is no longer an asset, We're going to wipe them off the face of the earth, which you can only assume sort of seems like the kind of the direction that they're going here. But at the same time, I really, the plan actually was a pretty good one. Use Yellow Dancer as a complete distraction, get everybody, all the basically the guards and the cops and security sent to Yellow Dancer, kind of just setting up that whole thing. Annie was there. I think Annie was like, in the event that something goes really wrong, you create a riot for people to jump up on stage and kind of, camouflage the exit and everything. So they had a contingency plan in place too, which I thought was really interesting. And then, Lunk being, everything worked. The only thing it didn't work for me, the balloons with the energy cells. I mean, it's like you could have gone through all of that. And then you tie these things, taking forever to tie these things to these balloons that somehow can carry these energy cells, like 4 of them. You're going to send them up. But what if like all of them had like launched into the sky and then a big gust of wind had like just carried them like 100 miles away, in all different directions. Like the wind, they caught different currents and like, you're like, well, shit, we can get maybe 3, and I mean, it seemed like, I understand like, for the imagery value of it, it worked really well. But at the same time, for the practicality, there's no way. I mean, they had to have figured out something better than that. But I mean, it's certainly not a big deal for me at all. It's not like I can't enjoy the episode. I thought it was very good. That was the only thing that I thought was just kind of like, that's kind of cartoony. And you know what? In a weird way, saying that Robotech is kind of cartoony, which would be, if you said like G.I. Joe, not to, shit on G.I. Joe, but I'll go ahead and say it, G.I. Joe is cartoony. You'd be like, oh, okay, G.I. Joe is a cartoon. When you say Robotech's cartoony, I don't mean it to be an insult, but, it's like, in the weirdest way, it's like, that seems like geared more towards kids, like putting it up in balloons and things like that. Something that people wouldn't necessarily question. But when Robotech gets cartoony, it gets a little hokey. And that was just a little bit hokey for me. And again, does it ruin my appreciation of the episode? Not at all. And I thought it was a really great example of, and that's where my mixed emotions come in. I have that one thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, but the idea, the episode as a whole, I thought was really good. Yellow Dancer songs are good. The Yellow Dancer, they actually have good music for Yellow Dancer. And again, I'm sure that there's, you all have told me before, especially with Min May's songs, that whenever like the original, like from Macross, the songs are actually pretty dope. They're actually pretty good. And I've never had an opportunity to hear any of like the original songs. But, I think the Yellow Dancers are really good. Like they're very catchy. They sound to me very 80s, very kind of like Tina Turner, a couple of the beats and bents in them. Really interesting stuff. But I really, really like Private Dancer, no pun intended, Tina Turner. Very, very interesting. And I'm really appreciating all of the characters and their contributions to the group too. Obviously our core here is, Rand and Rook and Scott. Christ, I almost forgot Scott. And I think that the Lancer really should be, a part of like the combat wing, which he is whenever they get into combat. But, there's a different role to play in this one. So I understand it. It's just, whenever you see from our last episode, whenever they left Lancer back at camp and it turns out Lancer is a badass fighter, maybe have him out in the pattern a little bit more, actually in the field. I don't know. It's like you're one of your best military combatant assets is usually, unfortunately, realistically stuck doing something else. No one else can be Yellow Dancer, so Lancer's going to have to go up there and do that. I just wish that we could have a little bit more fighting because I think that Lancer is definitely one to watch. Lancer, okay, tangent, get ready for a tangent, everybody. When Voltron came out when I was a kid, Voltron was on at a much more favorable time than Robotech, which was 6 in the morning where I was from. And because of the household where I lived, I never had the opportunity to watch it. I didn't have access to a VCR. We've talked about it. That's a lot of perfect storm elements came together for me to miss Robotech. Now, Voltron, I did have the opportunity to watch. However, I started watching Voltron from damn near the beginning. I would say probably the 2nd or 3rd episode is where I joined in, like where they have kind of gone to planet and they're in the process of finding each of the lions. I assume most people know about Voltron. I'm not going to try to ruin too much of it, but I will ruin one major aspect of it. When I watched the first couple episodes of Voltron, I fell in love with a character. And that character was Sven. And Sven looked like Bruce Lee in like Enter the Dragon. Blue suit on, the band collar, absolutely ready to rock. I mean, my guy was, and I was and still am, a huge Bruce Lee fan. I thought he was absolutely fantastic, just an incredible, not just a martial artist, just an entertainer, period, just an icon. And then to see somebody in cartoon form that looked a lot like one of my heroes, I was sold. I was like, oh my God, he pilots Blue Lion. I love, that was like my favorite lion. I was like, this is the greatest. And then tragedy strikes. And so I stopped watching Voltron. I only ever made it through the first like 5, 6, until the event that takes Sven from us. I stopped. I did not watch it. I'm going to go back and watch Voltron now, the original, to see, that's part of Saturday morning React-TOONS coming up, just as a, aside. But my point being in all of that is that, you have these characters that you desperately want to see, do these certain things and be involved in a certain way. And I can't, throw out the baby with the bathwater here whenever Lancer's not able to be a part of it, because I really like the character of Lancer. And the problem is, as soon as I say I like a character, here's where I'm getting at, everybody. As soon as I say, like, vocalize, oh, I really like that character, it is the mortality of that character, the percentage of the mortality of that character goes up like fourfold. If they had a 10% chance of dying before I made that statement, they're damn near 50, a coin flip after I make that statement. As a kid, any time I picked a favorite character, they would eventually die. And so I stopped doing it just because it was superstitious. I didn't want to do it. So long-winded way for me to say officially, I really like Lancer. Definitely my favorite character. I want to see more of him. Please don't die. Friends, if you could do me a favor, hit that like button, smash that subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. It greatly helps out a small channel, and it allows me to alert you next time it's time for some Saturday morning React-TOONS. And of course, if there's anything that we do that you would like early or in its full-length format, the link to our Patreon is in the description. But my dear friends, all that is then and this is now, and now it's time to say goodbye. So where should we say goodbye from? Well, friends, since I probably damned Lancer or Yellow Dancer, whatever incarnation and persona he happens to have on, let's say goodbye from the concert. We're in the throes of the concert. He's up there singing, "Look Up." The sky is falling, and we are all enjoying a great song and a great moment inside of this occupied zone that is Earth. But for a moment, for a beat, for a song, we remember what it's like to be truly human, thanks to the lungs of Yellow Dancer and the soul of Lancer. May he live long. Friends, until such time as we find out the fate of all of these characters, Vulcan roll, and I'll see you.